LeBron James has officially entered a fascinating new chapter of his legendary NBA career, and his decision to join the Philadelphia 76ers is raising major questions across the league. Why did LeBron choose Philadelphia over familiar destinations like Cleveland, Miami, or even a return to Los Angeles? The answer appears to involve much more than money, with championship ambitions, a new challenge, and the opportunity to play alongside an exciting group of young talent all playing a major role. Now, as LeBron prepares for what could be the final stage of his career, the Sixers are suddenly one of the most intriguing teams in the NBA.
I mean, ultimately, he was allowed to follow his basketball compass inside of him, and this was various conversations, not with just the contending teams that were vying for his services, but with his family. And he got the stamp of approval from his wife and his children to go be the basketball player for this final flourish, and not necessarily prioritize being the father and being the husband. And he still has a love for the game. He's still healthy. We've seen him, still made the All-Star game last year in year 23. He has competitive stamina, to borrow a term from Lakers coach J.J. Redick. And, I was told by a source close to LeBron that, ultimately he found this group, this Sixers collection of talent and where they are, in their career, that this will be the best situation where he can wake up every day and pour every ounce of his being into trying to contribute for a championship.
Yeah, and so I think for me, I was wondering what the definition of happiness was for LeBron James, because that's what became immediately clear when he said that he wasn't going back to the Los Angeles Lakers. The reporting was that he was going to make a move that was dictated by happiness. But does happiness mean being close to your family? Does happiness mean winning a championships? And what happens if that is at odds? And you had some reporting where he actually had the opportunity, not with the Lakers, to stay a little closer to home.
Yeah, multiple sources close to LeBron and to the situation told me that there was a discussion of an offer, a lucrative offer, worth north of $20 million for a one-year deal to come. You could still live in Brentwood and play for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Interesting. They turned that down.
Well, I'll say this. If LeBron and Rich Paul told teams at the outset of free agency, hey, we'll come here, but we need this amount of money, teams would have moved money around. But also from the beginning, they made it very clear that LeBron's going to need time. This isn't going to be a money-centric decision. And that meant by the end of it, obviously a minimum contract. As long as he was fine with playing for a situation that brought him winning and not the finances, which is what we saw actually play out. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it. So to me, LeBron really put his money where his mouth is.
But I think a lot of folks said, well, wouldn't that make sense when we were trying to read the tea leaves in those 3 weeks to be the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah, and the Cavs, the Sixers, the Miami Heat, those were the finalists really for LeBron James. But interestingly enough, in the cloak of secrecy, LeBron James granted just one team an in-person meeting in free agency, and that was, sources tell me, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that was the early part of July. I'm told that LeBron met with a Cavs brass in his home in Akron, Ohio. That brass consisted of VP of Business Grant Gilbert, President of Basketball Operations Kobe Altman, Assistant General Manager Brandon Weems, and these two sides, it was just these four in this room. They sat together, talked about his basketball legacy, what a reunion, a third stint in Cleveland would look like. And of course, anytime you're talking about LeBron going back to Cleveland, I think giving that meeting, granting that meeting to them, a lot of it, more than anything, was respect for the organization. We know about his history there, led them to a championship for the first time in 50 years. He's a hometown kid, hometown team. He wanted to do right by the Cavs more than even the Sixers or the Heat by giving them that meeting. Of course, he ends up deciding on the Sixers. The Cavs are going to go on to their own offseason after making the conference finals last year.
Worse for the Cavs. I said they was the losers in this situation, but this makes my head hurt. The fact that they got a face-to-face with LeBron James and they couldn't bring him back home. They had a face-to-face, no cell phones, no wiretaps, a face-to-face. Didn't have to worry about if somebody was listening on the other end and was able to hear LeBron James out and probably knew everything that he wanted and how he viewed the team, and they lost. This is worse than Brad Stevens losing Giannis to the Miami Heat and Pat Riley. when you think about what LeBron probably wanted, Jaylen Brown probably would have sealed the deal for the Cleveland Cavaliers if they could have landed Jaylen Brown. There's no way in hell you could tell me that LeBron James, the basketball savant that he is, watched the playoffs last year and wanted to go be a part of that roster. The Cleveland Cavaliers had to make a move in order to land LeBron James. The fact that you lose him to another Eastern Conference team that you're going to have to see time and time again, all the Cavs were missing was a LeBron James, and to move one of those pieces, now they got nothing. While teams that made powerful moves, listen, in my opinion, real talk, I think the Cavs, they probably won't sniff another championship for the next 10 years. For the next 10 years. When here it is, you had a chance to actually make some powerful moves this offseason, and one of them was acquiring LeBron James and then bringing them back to Cleveland.
I actually agree with Perk.
That's crazy.
I actually agree with Perk on that. I think when you look at where Cleveland was making the Eastern Conference Finals, getting that far without LeBron James for the first time since 1992, that would be the obvious choice if LeBron was looking to go to a ready-made, ready-to-win situation, and for the Philadelphia 76ers to leapfrog them, whether it's the personnel move of Jaylen Brown, just the total collection of talent that Philadelphia had, it's certainly a demerit against what you view this Cleveland Cavaliers team as. Not just that you're just going to have to see them, but the fact that LeBron didn't believe in Donovan Mitchell and James Harden and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen and that collection of ball players. I think it speaks volumes for the league, how people view the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It's also very clear through this that LeBron James wanted to seek something new, right?
Yeah.
We've seen what he did in Cleveland. We know about that. That's never going to be, you're never going to outdo that. We know he won multiple championships in Miami as well. And so that is a part of the equation. But the other thing is, going into this meeting, my understanding is this was two sides, the mutual respect. It's only right that LeBron James, if he is going to grant an in-person meeting, it's going to be in the vicinity of his home, which is in Akron, which is near Cleveland, a drive away, close by, to where all these sides can sit down out of respect to have this meeting. LeBron James wasn't going to grant anyone else this but Cleveland. He spent the most seasons of his entire career with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And that goes back to, I think we may be losing the plot here a little bit, because I thought, Dave, reading your story, that one of the things that stood out to me the most is when you wrote about the storybook factor of what a title would feel like in a sports-obsessed city like Philadelphia. It only enhanced the situation. LeBron James, that is his career, right? It is driven by and considered with the story of what he has done. And that's part of his story, is Cleveland. And so he had to have that piece, that closure there. But Dave, you also reported in here that it might not just be 2 years. Rich Paul said that maybe it could be more.
Yeah, I mean, Rich said he thinks Philadelphia is going to energize LeBron. He said maybe it'll be 2 years and maybe it's going to be 4 years. And I mean, listen, if it is 4 years, that takes him to 45 years old. You'd be the second oldest player in NBA history at that point. Obviously, he'll already have more seasons than any player in NBA history. He's already accomplished that. But I mean, one of his friends and someone I think he has some relationship with and connection with by what he's been able to do in his respective sport. Tom Brady played until he was 45 as well. Dennis Schroeder a couple of years ago said that he always thought the plan was for LeBron to play until he was 45 when he was teammates with LeBron on the Lakers. And so we'll see. Now, getting back to the point that Shams made about wanted to do new things, I didn't have a place for this in the story, but Rich Paul told me that, you know, sometimes you just got to be, you want to do new blank. You want to do new bleep, right? Malika covering tennis, Vinny, Shams, you guys both switched media companies. You know, it's part of the life and growing as a person is to put yourself in different situations and see what you do with them. And I think there's an appeal there, and especially if you do win, you get to erase a 43-year championship drought for the Sixers organization. And maybe that fifth championship feels a little bit more consequential than a fifth championship somewhere else.
Go ahead, Perk.
And look, I understand the 70s playing for the 76ers, playing in Philadelphia. I get all that. But look, the 76ers don't land LeBron James if Jaylen Brown is not on their team. If they don't make a move first to get Jaylen Brown, LeBron James don't go to the 76ers. I strongly believe that.
Well, sure, and that's what has been reported as well, Perk.
No, I know that, but that was my point of bringing up. But I didn't want to lose the the whole thing and the reason that I said that the Cavs really lost in this situation, because yes, they granted the Cavs a face-to-face, but also like the Cavs were in the conversation. I strongly believe that LeBron James was actually being patient with the Cavs to see if they were actually going to do something. And I just feel like at the end of the day, it's over and done. But I do love what I'm seeing for us, these projected starters. That, you know, when it comes to Embiid, Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe, you know, and Jaylen Brown, and LeBron, he's going to be happy over there. Who's not? Who? Name me one person who's been around Tyrese Maxey that walked away and said that they weren't happy.
I mean, he walks around with a smile on his face that is certainly contagious. We're going to be getting back to the story a little bit later in the show, but on the call last night, quickly got home to be able to join us and got the Stripes memo coast to coast. I love it. Rebecca, let's talk about that Fever offense, right? They looked as good as we do in these Stripes. How can this style of play...
LeBron's decision to choose Philadelphia makes a lot of sense when you look at what he seems to want at this stage of his career. He has already accomplished almost everything individually and has won championships in different situations. Choosing the Sixers gives him a completely different challenge while putting him in a position where he can still realistically compete for another title. I also think the fact that LeBron turned down an opportunity to stay closer to Los Angeles is significant. If money were the main priority, there were apparently opportunities that could have paid him considerably more. Instead, he chose a situation where winning in the basketball environment seemed to matter more than maximizing his contracts. Cleveland's failure to bring him back is probably the most interesting part of the story. Having a face-to-face meeting with LeBron and still losing him to another Eastern Conference team has to be disappointing for the Cavaliers. At the same time, I understand why LeBron wanted something new instead of simply returning to the place where he had already created one of the greatest moments in franchise history. The biggest reason Philadelphia became so attractive, in my view, is Jaylen Brown. Adding LeBron to an already talented roster is one thing, but having Brown, Tyrese, Maxey, Joel Embiid, and VJ Edgecombe around him gives LeBron a much stronger foundation. He doesn't need to dominate every possession anymore when there are multiple players capable of creating offense and carrying responsibility. I also find the possibility of LeBron playing several more seasons extremely interesting. If he really stays motivated and healthy enough to continue until 45, his longevity will become an even bigger part of his legacy. At this stage, every additional season is remarkable because he is competing against players who were not even born when his NBA career began.